I started dating a zookeeper, but it turned out he was a cheetah. Well, this is a rare treat, a very special treat for the Scott and Allie Not For Air podcast. We'd like to welcome, I can't believe I'm about to say this, from the corporate office, Mr. Dave Taylor is here. Look at that.
Thank you.
Now, Dave, you have to introduce yourself to everyone. Your position, which is a very important position, is, how would you describe it to the folks?
How would I describe it? Oh, boy. Catch-all.
Catch-all.
So,
Isn't that everything in this company?
It feels like that, but that's a good thing, right?
You're right.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
For those that don't know, you do a lot of the digital stuff. You handle a ton of that, right?
Chief Creative
Scott has
Officer.
no clue.
You
Scott
have
has
no
no
clue.
clue what you do.
You know what you do?
No, I do. I knew. Even my own family, just so you know, like they ask me all the time, like, what people ask me what you do, and I never know what to tell them. Like, what do you do? What do you do?
We've talked about this on the show. Most people have no idea.
No idea.
Okay, my significant other, I really don't know what he does. I know the company he works for.
Right.
I know, like, some days he tells me he's like haggling with Mennonites to get eggs for 25 cents a dozen.
Okay.
That's just for the house.
Yeah. Because he has like a food pantry type thing at his place of work. But then other times he's writing scholarships and grants. Other times he's installing air conditioners. But he's in management, and he's like, he's a catch-all, you know, like you do what you got to do. I'm like, so what do you do? And he's like, what do I not do? I mean, you know.
Yeah.
My dad, no clue. I mean, he worked for Ford his whole life. I don't know what he does. Pushes papers, signs contracts.
If it makes you feel better, I can say, and you'll all agree, I don't know what I do.
We don't know what you do either.
Exactly. See, it all fits.
Clown.
By the way, I'll go right into this. You guys want to start with
professional fart joke teller.
Yes, that's. If you want, we can start with something. And in honor of Dave being with us here, and by the way, I want to let you know, even though I said Dave from the corporate office, you can absolutely say shit.
Okay.
Just so you know, it's the Not For Air podcast. You know,
Right.
so
I typically don't, but
okay.
you know,
Well,
that's
just
fine.
so
You're not
if
much
it
of-
happens,
You're not much of a cursor.
I am.
was gonna
good.
say.
Let her rip.
Yeah, no,
Don't-
I am. I mean, you know, I'm
You're European.
I'm
What
Scottish.
the hell does that have to do with anything?
Because-
Oh, they say it, yeah, they do. They say it a lot. I just don't. I don't on social media. I don't publicly ever do that. And even when I'm at work, I very rarely swear at work.
Well, this is going to be
Outside of work.
this is going to be a real fun
Game
podcast.
over.
I don't think my kids have ever heard me swear.
Really? I've never heard my dad swear.
Yep, there you go.
You know, my dad was not a big swearer. Actually, come to think of it, on occasion, if you think about it and go back and listen to old podcasts, I'm the least potty mouth person on these podcasts.
That's not true.
Absolutely it is.
I think more recently I've become more potty mouth, but there has been some stories that warranted that. But I'm usually not the potty mouth.
Well, you all can listen and debate.
What is the CompuBox? We need to get CompuBox stats on that.
Yes, we do.
Get some AI on it. Let's scroll through, get some transcripts.
Yeah, I want to
Perfect.
see
Great.
who
You'll have
swears.
it in
Yeah,
writing.
there's the
Wonderful.
competition.
It's just what I'm looking for. Have it in writing.
Yeah.
So, Dave, let's let folks know, where do you originally hail from? Because that is not a Kentucky accent.
No, so originally Glasgow, Scotland. By the way of England, Leeds. I left Scotland when I was 10.
Is that near Loch Ness anywhere?
No.
Or is everything near Loch Ness? I don't even know.
You know, the funny thing is, when you grow up in Britain, everything seems kind of far away until you move to America, and then you realize everything is so close. Like we used to go on vacation to Wales, and
Yeah.
it was a 4-hour drive.
Hanging out with Prince Charlie over there when he was the prince, huh?
Sure. Yeah. and I used to feel like that was like the longest route in the world. Like I felt like I was going to die by the end. I can't believe we've been in a car this long.
How
now,
long?
4 hours.
Oh,
and
Have
now-
you driven to Olean? My God, it's endless.
Well, I drive, so Scotland to England to Pennsylvania, Hollidaysburg. Now I live in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky. To drive here, it's 10 and a half hours, 10 hours.
Oof.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And I'm on the road 1 week a month, and it's 8 to 10 hours, depending on how far we're going. And
Now, from what I understand, though, your wife would say that's the key to a happy marriage, being on the road 1 week a month, right? I was told that once.
yeah,
I
are.
mean, I
Capped.
just apply it everywhere, right?
I'm capped at 7 hours in the car. I did the Kentucky drive. Don't love it.
yeah.
too long.
Sciatic gets going, doesn't it?
Oh, it's just everything. I'm bored.
Yeah.
And I was by I was by myself. So for me, I'm just like, let's just get there. I want to go and do what I want to do.
Well, since you've let us know that you're from Scotland, the timing of this could not be better. Have you ever heard of the renowned arts festival in Scotland? Maybe not that renowned, is it?
No, I was waiting for the name of it. It's called the Renowned Arts
Apparently,
Festival.
it is the...
See, you can't just call it the Renowned Arts Festival and assume it's a renowned, right?
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is renowned.
They named it, you know?
What's so renowned about it?
Well, they actually have the top 10 jokes every year, and these are from the Scotland Arts Festival. The timing of this couldn't be better because Dave, having come from there, I'm going to roll a couple of these by you, and I want you guys let me know. This is from the winners, okay? We don't have to do them all because they're not all gems, I'll tell you that.
Something tells me that these are going to be the most scot-free jokes that I've ever heard.
It's possible.
Okay.
So we'll start with this one. This one comes from Lorna Rose Treen. That's a Scottish name, isn't it? Lorna Rose Treen.
Lorna is, yeah.
Yeah. I started dating a zookeeper, but it turned out he was a cheetah. Nothing. That was the winner, by the
Give him
way.
the pity laugh every once
That
in
was
a
the
while.
winner, so it's only going to get worse from here.
Oh, great.
One person says, and if you know a little bit about British humor, you might like this one. The most British thing that I've ever heard, a lady who said, well, I'm sorry, but I don't apologize. Allie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was that sound? We may have had this debate a couple times on the show. Allie's way of apologizing.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
And somehow you got a rim
joke.
shot. Yeah. So this one works too. This one is from Amos Gill, another good Scottish name. Last year I had a great joke about inflation, but it hardly is worth anything right now. Now that's good. Come on.
These are terrible.
This monologue. These were the top 10 winners.
These are awful.
These were the big ones. All right, here's one because this deals with people dying. Allie will love it. I thought I'd start off with a joke about the Titanic just to break the ice. I gave you that one. That's let's see here if there's anything worth more.
I hope not.
No, we'll go to this one. Here, maybe you'll like this one. I entered the, quote, how not to surrender competition, and I won hands down. Jesus, guys, really? Nothing?
Oh, look what you did.
These people.
The joke was so bad.
my
The
God.
camera
Webcam went down. All right.
All right, now we're broken.
How about this? Now, you know what? Forget it. I'm done with the jokes.
the jokes are terrible.
Forget it. Well, that's your festival. Your people's festival.
I can't.
I do have one more question about the whole thing of Dave being from Scotland. Do you hate that people always address that first and foremost? Or do you
Which
love
we
it?
didn't, by the way. Did you notice that?
No, I know, but I noticed like every time people meet you, and I think I probably did it too, like the first time I met you, it was, well, where are you from? Or are you proud of that?
Yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud of where I come from. Sure. I feel like you
Are
have
you
to.
sure?
Well, so.
All right, here comes another dumb joke. Your mom's happy that you are proud.
Yeah.
See that?
My mom's English, so she'd probably rather I was English, but that's a whole other story.
Oh.
Now, so here, my accent is different. It's like you can't place it anywhere. It's completely unique because I grew up in Scotland, in Glasgow, which I don't know if you've ever heard of the Glaswegian accent. It is so strong and thick.
Well, you haven't heard of my renowned arts festival, so am I going to go with it?
Yeah. So when I moved to England when I was 10, nobody could really understand me, so I had to learn to kind of soften it and change it, and then I ended up picking up a really kind of strong Yorkshire accent, which is the area I lived in. And then when I moved to America, I do a lot of public speaking and meetings and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I noticed early on, I'd start talking and people, they're not listening to what I'm saying.
Right, right.
In their head, they're like, where's he from?
Mm-hmm.
So I always prefer to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's move on now. Now you can listen to the words that come out of my mouth,
Yes.
So I don't mind it. I don't mind at all.
So here's a question then. Now, you're not an actor by trade. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you do some acting, but a lot of times it's really incredible. You see actors that come from England, Great Britain, can put on an American accent because I'm sure to you, we have an accent in some way, shape, or form. As well-spoken broadcasters that we are, we still have an accent.
That's it.
Can you do a very Americanized sound? Like, have you ever practiced
Oh, no, I cannot. I've
Okay.
tried it. Kristen,
Our owner.
our owner, and my one of my closest friends, she hates it if I put on like a Kentucky accent.
What a mix that would be, Kentucky
I
and-
cannot. I can't do it. And
It's
and
such a sweet accent, though. I love it because it's just so like, would y'all like an old fashioned?
Oh, the Kentucky bluegrass. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan. And like my kids were all born in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
And
wow.
they-
And they got a little Dutch in them now,
you know,
too. So
yeah.
this is a whole
So
mess.
they've lived in Kentucky now for 9 years. And, whenever a little bit of it has kind of snuck in, we were like, say that again, say it again, say it again. Like, I do not want them to have a Southern accent.
So guess what? One of my best friends that I grew up with, his dad is from Kentucky. So I grew up in Ohio, but his dad is from Kentucky. But I said to him, Mr. Finkbone, you don't sound like you have a Kentucky accent. And he said that he prevented that. He changed his like how he speaks at a really young age because similar to what you were saying, he said nobody would take me seriously and did not think that I was as intellectual as I was, and because of the accent, they always think like, oh, Southern people are stupid.
Yeah.
So
And you find
that is
like,
a thing, yeah.
You find
not that Southern people are stupid. Let
Right.
me clarify that. No.
No, you find that like if you go to Kentucky, there's a guy that comes to our we have a studio in Frankfurt where we do a lot of my office is, and we do video and photography stuff there. And there's a local guy. His name is Benny. I don't know if I should be saying his name. He's not watching. It's fine.
Okay. Wait, are you not saying this is like worldwide popularity?
No, but he comes to the door. He's always looking for odd jobs, right? He wants to clean the window. He wants to do something.
Oh,
And I cannot answer the door to him because I cannot understand a word he said. And when I first moved down Kentucky at the radio stations there, I would answer the phones, and we have a Froggy country radio station there.
yes.
And I just had to like put it and go find someone and be like, I asked them 3 times what they said. I have no idea what they said.
He's like, I watch your window.
Someone's got to help me. Somebody please help me.
All right. So then I'll reverse the question. You said you softened your accent, and I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but it is interesting because, like we said, a lot of times actors, transition to a very Americanized style of talking for roles. Can you fall back into your traditional, original, I was
God.
born and raised in Glasgow?
My eldest brother still lives in Glasgow. If I call him,
Oh yeah.
if I call my friends, go straight to Yorkshire,
And we wouldn't understand a thing you're saying, probably.
the English part you would, the Glaswegian part, you should look it up on YouTube sometime. It's a thick Glaswegian accent is very unique and hard to follow.
So if I
Gotcha.
gave you a sentence to say,
Oh no, I'm not going to do that.
oh come on, Aw.
Nope.
I love hearing when people speak to like somebody from their hometown who has an accent. I dated a British guy, and like same thing. It's as soon as he would talk to family members, it's like, oh okay, that now it's like it's thicker than ever. I went to high school with my friend Davey. He was also born in England. Same thing. He would talk to his grandmother, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he would start drinking. It got really thick, and I loved it.
So the 2 things, right? If I drink,
Yep.
I'll go back there, and if I get angry,
Oh,
Yeah.
if I was to get into a heated dispute with someone,
Yes.
I would go straight back to my Glaswegian roots. That's like that.
What can we say to make him angry?
I'd rather we didn't. I'm okay with that. All right. So now this will make Allie happy. Is your wife from that same area, or is she from?
No,
elsewhere?
she's from Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay. So, but I'm going to take you back then to when you were a younger lad. I use the word lad
that
because,
was cute.
A wee lad.
It's a thing.
A wee lad.
So the only experience that I have from this, and the only knowledge I have, I will freely admit, is from Doctor Who,
Oh,
the
yeah.
British television show. And they've had some actors and some actresses that have played roles that are from Scotland. In fact, I believe Peter Capaldi is a Scottish actor, I think. He was one of the doctors.
Hey,
However,
wait, what about the guy that was in Broadchurch? I thought, isn't he Scottish?
David Tennant.
Yeah, isn't he Scottish?
I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure. Well, at any rate, the women from Scotland seem to be, and this is where Allie's going to love this, seem to be a very powerful, bossy bunch. Is that kind of a thing, or is that something that's only portrayed in certain shows in that, or are they, you got to do it right now?
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, okay.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's definitely true.
Okay.
It's,
That's why he married his wife. He didn't want a bossy babe.
well, I failed there. No, it's Scottish people are pretty forceful people as a whole.
It
I
gotta
like
be
that.
as cold as hell up there, isn't it?
It's very windy. It's
Yeah.
cold. It's rainy.
You don't have time for pleasantries. It's
Yeah.
like, get the job
Yeah.
done and go.
Yeah,
That's probably terrible. I'm
my
sorry.
wife, the first time I took her up there, she was my girlfriend at the time. I think she was 18, something like that. We went up there because my brother and his family's there, and she was terrified. I mean, terrified. I mean, she wasn't going there, but there was just a whole bunch of things that happened. Like she went to, for example, the park with my sister-in-law and our daughter at the time. And they're at the swing park, and there's these two boys throwing bricks, and these bricks are getting closer to her, and she's like, like getting worried, and she says to, my sister-in-law, and she's on the phone, she grabs it, give me that, like gives it some of that. She puts the brick on the seat, and then these boys, and they're like 10-year-old boys are conspiring to get the brick back, and she comes back from the park absolutely terrified. I took her out to the pub for a few drinks, and there's a time period where the pub shut about 11ish. I think last orders at 11. Then the people go to the bars, right? But that time period in between, there's drunk people everywhere. So we're walking through the town, and some drunk guys trying to convince us to go with him, and she's like grabbing hold of my hand. These two guys walk past holding this other friend of theirs by his belt. His legs are dragging on the floor.
It's like a movie.
A second later, some
That's
guy
like
just comes
Market
by,
Street.
that
smashes
too.
a bottle on the wall next to us. She's like, I never want to come here ever again.
Oh my
And it's
gosh.
just like it's.
And then when they get home, their wives are, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what the good thing is though? You know how they feel. I hate when you don't know how somebody feels about something. And I'm terrible about this because I don't always communicate. Sometimes I'll like bottle stuff inside.
It's a weird mix. She's forceful,
Yes.
but terrified.
Yeah.
I've yet to figure it out in 17 years.
It depends on my mood. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's a lot of places in Europe like that. Like I feel like the Germans are like that. German women, they tell you how I much prefer it. They'll tell you how they feel.
Yep.
And they'll put their emotion into it.
Yes.
Passionate group, yeah.
I much prefer that.
There is something true about that because sometimes you'll see like an old Italian couple, and it's not that they're hard of hearing; they're just screaming at each other.
Right.
But they're like it's nothing bad. It's just like okay,
It's how they communicate.
That's it.
All right. One more question about your wife. So is it one of those like weird flexes? Like she loves telling people that she's married to a Scottish guy? Because I absolutely, if I was married to a Scottish guy or a British guy, that'd be the first thing I would tell everyone. That would be my weird flex.
But it would
Yeah.
wouldn't you feel at some point you're like, can we not? Can we just not tell everybody first thing or make it the big issue?
Well, no, but if I was starting a new job
Dave's
or
like,
something.
no, give me all the attention.
It's nice icebreaker. What else am I going to talk about?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of, I have a relationship thing.
Okay.
This is definitely an icebreaker. Maybe something that you want to talk about at work. So, do you guys consider this cheating? If you, of course, you guys have both been married, and a bachelorette party happens, and it's like those real hunky guys, the guys who are like sweaty and gross and all that stuff, who are doing like the dancing and stuff for us.
Listen, Dave just finished a gig last Saturday like
I
that.
know.
I mean, you were oiled up and everything, weren't you?
Yeah.
Is it cheating if your soon-to-be wife licks the stripper's nipple?
No.
Just a nipple?
Just the nipple.
No.
No, you girls get crazy at bachelorette parties
I
and
know.
things like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I licked the stripper's nipple, is that cheating?
I know it's out of favor nowadays, but remember the old suck for a buck that the girls would walk around with?
Yes, we used to do it all
You
the
got to
time.
say that carefully.
Well,
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, not on this podcast, remember.
Yeah.
Do you know what suck for a buck is?
No.
So suck for a buck
You're going to love this.
is we would put a little like usually lifesavers,
Okay.
and we would put them on a girl's shirt, and then guys would suck them off of her shirt on the night of her bachelorette party. But in order to suck it off of her shirt, you had to give us $1 or $5, depending. Like if it was over by the nipples, give us $5. If it was by the cooch, then you give me $10. And so guys would come around and suck these lifesavers.
Last week she said puss. Don't feel bad.
I did say what I don't remember why I said puss.
I don't know either, but it was great.
Yeah. So that
the
used
look
to,
on Dave's face was like,
What?
it's super cringy now. It's not something that I would do now for
You've
sure.
grown out of that.
I've grown.
Okay, I got it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
but
honestly-
I will lick a stripper's nipple.
and honestly, if that's where it ends and that's all it is, and all the girls are, whatever, I forget it at that point. I will say this. Thinking about the suck for a buck for a minute, it is also very possible that you may not have heard about this because, as you know, we live where this emanates from, one of the higher class areas of the globe.
Yeah.
And it's possible that level of high class, this might be sarcasm, may not have trickled down to other areas. I don't remember ever seeing it in Buffalo when I lived there.
It's a new one to me.
Or
I've been a lot of
Cleveland.
places.
I did it in
Or West Palm
Cleveland, but
Beach.
I did it in Cleveland and in Cincinnati.
Well, there are certain
Actually,
parts of Cleveland I would expect, but
Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, because friends of mine have been married in those three cities. So I never did. Maybe I did it here, but regardless, that most of my suck for the buck experiences were in Ohio.
I got you. Do we need to take a break?
Yeah, just a quick break because, we got to give the SPCA some love. Of course, you can go down the rabbit hole of looking at all the cute puppies and kitties at ChemungSPCA.org. But did you know there's other stuff that the Chemung SPCA does? Like get tips and tricks at ChemungSPCA.org. Especially if you have a chewer in the family, your fur baby loves to jump up on you or even get so excited they pull the leash too much. Have you ever heard of the Tooth Fairy Fund? One of the things you can do is donate to the Chemung County SPCA and help other families pay for teeth cleanings and extractions. And if you're down on your luck, there's the Pet Food Pantry. The Chemung County SPCA can provide you, your dog, or cat with a little food to help you through the tough times. So while you're at ChemungSPCA.org looking at the oodles and oodles of cuteness, check out their other services like spay and neuter clinics, affordable vaccination clinics, behavior problems, pet food pantry, tooth fairy service, end of life services, or even temporary boarding resources. Now go spoil a doggy or kitty, even if it's not your own.
All right, we're back with the Scott and Allie Not For Air podcast. I'm Scott, that's Allie. This is special guest Dave Taylor. Now, normally, this would be one of those nerve-wracking experiences. It would be like, he's from corporate. But we've known you, honestly, you were one of the very first people, if not the second person that we met when the company was purchased by, obviously, the company we are now. I mean, should we say? Is it okay to say, or should we not say because it's the Not For Air podcast? It's up to you.
I think we're pretty transparent, open people.
That's what we say.
Dave's one of the ones that I want to like hang out with outside because I will say, and then one last thing, then I'll be off of this. But because of your accent, I think I know
It's not the
but-
personality.
No,
I got it.
No, well that too. But I think that like you're one of those people that I can't imagine you ever yelling at me for anything because in all reality, the person that would be taking any directive from Dave in this building would be me. I'm
Yeah.
the one that directly
Well,
would
you
deal
and
with.
one other employee in the building.
Yes, yeah. I can't see you yell. Have you ever fired anybody?
Tons of people.
You have? Oh my God. I would cry so hard if you
not,
fired.
It's not. I hate it.
Yeah, I know.
The day that ends in Y, something
Yeah.
will happen. But anyway, when Seven Mountains Media purchased us back, oh my gosh, is it 5 years?
I don't know.
Some
Yes,
lifetime
it was
ago.
5 years
Yeah.
ago.
You were one of the first people we met. We obviously all very quickly started to get along, and you just happened to be in the building this week, and we're like, come on, visit, hang out. It's nice to just chat with somebody else as opposed to the two of us constantly. So let me ask you all a question.
Okay.
And yeah, I just said y'all. Wanted to make you feel like you're back in Kentucky, apparently. Anybody suffer from convenient hearing loss?
Oh, well, you mean selective hearing?
Well, it's kind of like that. I mean, this could be one of these things where somebody wears a hearing aid and I didn't hear that, but it's convenient hearing loss they did. I know there's someone in this room that suffers from convenient hearing loss, and I could give a great example.
Give me an example. I want to hear it.
Now, I'm not saying this in a mean way, but Allie, when she's editing a video on her phone, it's here's the phone, right? And it is, Allie, we just won the Mega Millions. Allie, it was $28.3 million. How do you want to split it? You know, and then all of a sudden it's like,
Dave, you know this
What?
life. You know this life.
You know, that's not hearing loss. It's you can't multitask if you're engaged in something in your brain. Like I do that all the time.
Yes, thank you.
know, and
okay, this
like,
is just excuses. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's me focusing on the task at hand.
yeah, I have to. If somebody, I'm talking to somebody and I know I have to be engaged for whatever reason, I have to not have my phone, not have something,
Right.
because I'll squirrel. you
Yes.
know, and then
Okay.
then I'll miss chunks, and then it'll be a question, and I'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
"What do you think about that?" I try to throw it back and like, just hit me with that again. That's a good question.
I'm gonna
I have
word
to
it like
try to
that.
cover up.
Hit me with that again. Hit
Yeah,
me
yeah,
with that.
that's it.
You know, but it's the same with when I'm watching TV, and I think we all do this, is I'm on my phone when I'm watching TV. So then I was watching a stand-up special the other day, which was hilarious. Jared Freed is his name. It was so funny. Anyway, but I did pick up my phone for a second, missed the joke, so I have to rewind. I do this all the time.
Yeah.
So then, in honesty, what they say about it is with convenient hearing loss, it's so nobody bothers you and you can be left alone and do what you want.
Well, that is part of it because, you know, I have this job. And so I'm a very compartmentalizing person. So when I'm here, I do this job. If you want to go drink and have a good time, or if you want to just, you know, you and I go to happy hour, that's when we'll like dick around. I don't dick around here. Like sometimes, but not really. I'm just like, let's just go. Let's
Right.
do this thing so I can go home. I'm not trying to be at this office any longer than I need to be.
So that was a good sell to somebody from corporate.
It's good.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. yeah.
You know. All right.
Plus, my editing skills are on point.
I have
right
another
now.
question
What?
for you, and then we'll open up if Dave has any questions for us, and if one of them is "What are you thinking?" We'll accept that. All right, Allie has been, and you may not know this, or maybe you do, but Allie has been involved in no less than 100 weddings over the. I mean, just in the very first years that we did this show together. There had to have been, we joked it was 80, but there had to have been close to 20 weddings you were either in or involved with.
Yep. And I will be at another wedding coming up in 2 weeks.
Okay, now, are you doing anything at that wedding besides just being a guest?
Dude, I don't even know. Because this is the one where my brother is throwing the engagement party. But I know this is for Dave, just to catch up really quick.
Okay.
So my brother is throwing an engagement party. But at the engagement party, he's actually going to get married. It's a surprise wedding. Now, I know, my parents know, and her parents know, and her significant other knows.
Everyone who watches this knows.
Well,
yes.
yes.
Okay.
Shh, don't tell anybody
Yeah,
in
don't-
DC.
don't tell
He
anybody.
lives in DC, so whatever.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Not like this is on the World Wide Web.
I know. I keep thinking that I know. I bet you family members and another family friend has been watching our content a lot lately, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna tell my dad.
Uh-oh.
I know. I'm really afraid of it. So shh. Anyway, okay. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing something. I know I'm gonna show up. I know I got the dress, but I have no clue. Why?
Because I have a question on whether you're working at a wedding, and it relates to if you're working at a wedding for a relative, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, this is someone, you know, that's the family. Should you have to give a wedding gift
No.
as well? No.
If you're working,
If you're working, I'll give you an example. Go ahead.
So I bartended at my friend Sarah's wedding.
Good example.
And I did not get her a gift. I only got paid in tips, but that was my gift. That's how I look at it.
And you got a gift too.
I got tips, and they were okay.
Oh, really?
Not big drinkers.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, wasn't
Yeah.
exactly the wedding to bartend at.
No, I would never do it again.
So, how do you feel about it? Would you say if you're working a wedding, you're videoing, you do video stuff? I mean, that's something that.
I like how he says, okay. Okay. Is that what I
So
do?
you get asked to video your brother's wedding. I mean, we know he's already married, but whatever the case may be. Do you feel you should have to also give a gift? I mean, you're doing this
I mean, it
for him.
depends on who it is. I mean, if it's my brother, well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I think I would.
Really?
I mean, if it's someone I care about.
I mean, they're not paying you.
What are you making the big bucks, Dave?
Well, I guess, like if that could be the gift.
That's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. So if that's the gift, that could be the gift. Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on who it is. If it was, my brother, I'd probably still do
So
something.
if I'm doing something like, let's say, emceeing the wedding, I'm not going to DJ a wedding ever again because that's just too much. But
Oh, it is so much work.
Years and years ago, did I do that?
I know, right?
I've been there. I did that when I first came to America. I did wedding DJ things.
Oh,
Awful.
it's agonizing, agonizing. You get one name wrong, there goes your tip. But that being said, I think that I would look at and go, yeah, this is kind of my gift.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a gift. Yeah.
All right, so we're.
You guys, so on this, I just realized this. Am I supposed to bring a wedding gift? Because here's the other thing. I'm traveling to this wedding, so I'm paying for hotel and food and all this stuff.
Nobody looks at it that day anyway. I don't feel like you have to bring it to the wedding.
I thought you were going to
to
say because it's his 7th marriage.
It's my brother's second marriage.
Joke. I'm just kidding.
But I just realized as we're having this conversation, oh shoot, I should probably give him some cash or something, even though I'm going to be spending a lot of money. The hotels in DC are expensive, which also, by the way, it's right around 9/11. Prices are like freaking through the roof.
So I guess I would ask you this question then, to whether or not you should get him a gift. Assuming you ever get married to Zach, or as we like to call it, the Allie and Zach never wedding.
Scott likes to call it the never wedding.
Yeah, that came out on the show. I've labeled that now the never wedding.
Many times.
Many times in today. Yes, you're right. Would your brother give you a gift?
I think he would. I think he would try to give me something.
Here's a jar of pickles.
I think he would try to, yes, I think he would try to do something that was like, oh, I'm going to try to give you something that imparts some meaning, as opposed to like, just give me the cash, man.
So cash is the way to go.
It's just too hard.
I know, right?
I'm not good at that whole thing.
Who cares about meaning?
You
Who cares
know.
about love? Just give me money.
Well, I've reached the end of my questions and things that I had for the podcast, and I'll bet you wish that I actually. Well, I could ask one
isn't
more.
it funny? We talked about bachelorette parties, and then we talked about weddings. We didn't know what we were bringing to the podcast, which I think is so funny that
It just goes sometimes.
It just fell that way.
Well, we could keep it in the relationship vein if you want to go one more question.
Dave, do you have time for one more?
I have all the time in the world.
Look at
Really?
this.
Well, my flight's in 3 hours, but
Oh, well,
Oh,
you
okay.
know. So here you go. The old rule. And I don't know if this happened in other parts of the world too. Did the rule apply in, let's say, Scotland, bros before hoes?
I think that's a universal rule.
That's a
right?
universal
I think
rule.
It is.
So get a load of this.
What?
And you might like this, Allie. A new poll found that rule might be dead. Believe it or not, this poll found most single people would keep dating someone even if their friends or family disapprove. 57% would even end a friendship if the person didn't like their partner.
This is tough because I think that your friends know you so well, and if there's something that they're seeing that you're not, because sometimes you're blinded by.
Oh yeah.
And so it makes me think, I've had this before where my friends, none of them liked this guy that I was with. And it was to the point of, they're like, don't move in with him. And then I did. Don't buy a house with him. And then I did. And then we broke up 9 months later. I only lived in the house for 9 months. And I thought,
You know, in some countries, that's a full pregnancy, just to let you know.
right? I should have listened to them. So I honestly, my friends are such a good gauge. I don't agree with the getting rid of bros before hoes.
Okay, you're on board with it.
I absolutely am. I
yeah.
also have had the same best friends for like my whole life. So
You've got a strong connection with that. That, you know, oh, by the way, just so you know, along with this poll, 71% claim their friends' opinions have little or no impact on who they choose to date.
I think in general, like
You're going to make your mistakes and live with it.
No, like there's definitely been some significant others that my friends have been or with that it's not the person that I would have chose for them, but like there's definitely one that I can think of off the top of my head that it ended up where it came around for me. Now I'm not the one dating them, but it came around for me. And I was like, oh, they did a great job picking this person. I just definitely didn't see it at first.
Okay.
So, but if there was a huge red flag on some people, I'm so glad. Like Danielle, for instance, one of my best friends, she was very opinionated about my ex, but she also said, and this is a great conversation we had. She's like, I am going to stand back a little bit. I'm not going to be up your butt. I'm not going to be.
Well, she told you this.
Yes. Yeah. We had to have a really candid conversation because we got in a little bit of a argument. And she said, you know how I feel about this relationship. I am going to let you do your thing. And even like it got to a point where even my mom, this is how bad this relationship was. My mom was like, you're a smart woman. I know you're going to make the right choice. I finally did. I mean, 9 months after living with him. But,
well,
you know,
live and learn. Like we all haven't made mistakes. Some of us go for a decade.
Right.
This is the way it is. Dave, we reached the point in the podcast where we're getting close to the wrap-up phase here.
Okay.
Did you, since we've asked you questions in that, did you have any questions for either Allie or me? Or both of us?
I am curious since we're talking about weddings and you've been to so many.
Adam, yeah.
Just not getting her own.
Married,
Yes.
What?
If I was to get married, do you hear that?
what would your wedding be like? I didn't enjoy my wedding. I came from a completely different background. I still lived in England when we got married in Pennsylvania, and I came over and it was like, oh, you have to do the first dance, you have to do the money dance, you have to do. There's a polka thing in Pennsylvania. You have to do the polka thing.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that
You
sounds
gotta
fun.
do this. You gotta do that. You gotta, and I couldn't enjoy myself because it was like regime. Got to do this now. Got to do this now. Got to do this. There was like 250 people there. I knew maybe 12 of them.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't enjoy it.
Right.
So you've been to all these weddings.
Yep.
What's your wedding gonna be like? If you're gonna have one.
She's going to have one.
Yeah.
It might just be herself, but she's going to have one.
It used to be that I wanted that big wedding with all the things. But and that was like 24-year-old Allie said that.
Okay.
In my mind, I always, and I think most women do this, we have a timeline. Oh, I want to be married by the time I'm 24. I'm going to have kids by the time I'm 26. And now it's funny, I'm 40 and don't have either of those things, which is fine. But now I'm to the point where not only am I so cheap, but I do want to enjoy my day. So my wedding is going to be less than 50 people. There's not going to be all of that. It's going to be, I already know, Dave, you don't even know what can you just opened. Because I already know where I'm getting married. It's going to be an old courthouse in Hornell, which is very weird, but I like that vintage look. Now, the courthouse is no longer used as a courthouse, but I like the look of an old courthouse wedding. And we would just have like a little barbecue afterwards. I do like a first dance.
Okay.
And I absolutely am going to use and abuse one of my girlfriends who plays the harp and take a song and have her play it on the harp because she always said to me, that is going to be my gift to you. Other than that, it's going to be like
Do the money dance.
no money dance, none of that. No, none of the receptions.
polka?
No polka.
What
no.
about speeches?
I would like a speech, yes, because like I said, I've had my same best friends forever. So my best friend will get up. He'll give the speech for sure. Because he gave mine. I'm sorry. I gave his. And I was beautiful and I was crying. And so, yes, we'll absolutely have speeches because both Zach and I have really close friends.
Where am I on this list of 50? Don't say 51.
I was just going to say 51.
I knew it was coming.
But I have the dress. I've got the ring. I've got the shoes.
She's actually given the ring to Zach to give back to her. And
Yep.
So
well,
you're gonna buy an expensive dress? Or are you gonna
No, my dress cost $10 and I wore it when I was the bride of Frankenstein 10 years ago at a Halloween party.
how great is that?
And my
That's
ring,
good.
and my ring is my grandmother's ring that she gave me before she passed.
That's very
Yeah.
special.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
See, I asked that because every time I go into my closet, on the top shelf, there's a box
Yeah.
that has a very expensive wedding dress that was wore
Vacuum sealed.
vacuum sealed
Yeah.
that was wore one time 20 years ago, and it just sits there. And I'm like,
Why? Right? No, mine is sitting in my closet, or mine's hanging in my closet. I see it all the time, and it has a nice rip because Scott and I were at this. We were hosting the Halloween costume party.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, Scott. And we were up on the stage and there was hay barrels. This is when we were at Tags.
Yes.
So there was hay barrels and I kind of like tripped. And so my heel caught the dress. So I actually have a ripped wedding dress right now.
Are you going to get it fixed beforehand, or are you going to
Yeah,
keep the
yeah.
Halloween motif
can you
going?
not just buy another one?
Wedding dress?
Yeah.
Oh, I could, but I love this dress.
I mean, like the exact same thing. You just track
I
it
mean,
down
Amazon has everything, right?
No, I'm just going to keep this. And honestly, I found this dress at a resale shop on Market Street.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is cool. I'm not going to lie.
It is. So my wedding is going to be very small, really chill. It's going to have some cool decorations and a couple personal touches,
Yeah.
which I don't want to give everything away, but there will be
How long? Are you doing just the quick 2 hour when you get to it, or is it going to be?
you as the 51st guest will get there. Like, let's say it's a 5:00 wedding. You'll get there at 4:45. You'll be home by 8:45.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the rest of the party going? Since clearly I won't be invited to that.
That's the other thing. Zach and I have talked about this. I'm glad you brought this up because Zach and I talked about this. I said, I want to go out with my friends afterwards. And he was like, why? You're going to be tired and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, because I want to. And he's like, in a wedding dress? Yeah. I want to go out in my wedding dress. It doesn't have to be a long time, but it's got to be a good time. Because he's like, well, aren't we going to leave for our honeymoon the next day? Yeah, probably. But my friends are in town. I want to enjoy it.
I can't even imagine the fact that you want to draw more attention to yourself in a wedding dress walking around. That just doesn't track at all. does it?
Totally no, absolutely not.
Dave, anything for me, or am I dull as hell and that's all you got for me?
All about you.
Yeah, I know all about you.
Oh,
God.
I want to say one last thing, and then I'll be done with the wedding thing.
Okay.
So my name, that you guys all know me, Allie Payne, right? And it's great because I always thought, I'm never getting rid of Allie Payne. But I love Zach's last name. So I'm like, on my credit cards and everything, I'll be Alicia Houseworth. And it'll be the House of Pain.
Oh, that's a good one.
You can't miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. That's
But I
excellent.
have one for you.
Oh, yes.
All right.
All right, you get a second lease in life, midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it. Like, what's the one thing you want to do? You want to take up? Is it like you want to learn to play a guitar? You want to travel? You want to skydive? You want to learn a language? You want to...
I love this
What?
question because I feel like Scott is not the adventurous one.
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple ways I could answer this. So I have a interesting life filled with looking back decisions that I had made that if it was a time machine, I could jump back and redo. But then I stop myself and I go, but wait a minute. We're supposed to all grow from what we go through, whatever the case may be. So, but
I
that's
said this
not-
on a podcast before. What is it? What doesn't challenge us doesn't change us.
That's
let
true.
me rephrase it.
Yeah.
Magically, you get an extra 10 hours free a week. You got 10 free hours. Don't worry about family. Don't worry about work. Don't worry about whatever.
No,
You got 10 hours
Yeah.
a week. What are you going to do?
It's tough I'm not going to not answer it. I'm just going to say it's tough to answer because I have 2 young kids. So that's very time consuming. And an extra 10 hours, I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll actually take my time
Nap.
packing their lunch.
I was waiting for you to say nap.
Right. No. You know, the one thing that I maybe something like get a boat. As weird as that, not a sailboat.
Oh,
I want
I've never heard him say that.
Well, it's not that I necessarily want one right now.
Speedboat?
Yeah, something like that, just to be able to go out on the lake and just be like, let's go, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, that might be kind of fun. But then again, I don't know, because you hear people say the 2 best days of a boat owner's life is the day they buy it and the day they sell it. So I'm not 100% sure yet on it.
I've said, Dave, Scott, we need to find you a hobby.
That's true. What do you recommend I do if I have an extra 10 hours?
What would you do with your extra 10 hours?
What would I do? I mean, I feel like in the last few years, I've really tried my best to think about that and do the things that I want to do.
Like what? What is 1 or 2 things that you said, I want to do this, and you did it?
So when I was younger, I used to box when I was younger. I quit boxing when I was 18 because I wanted to party, and you can't do both.
Right.
And then last year, I got my son, who's 13, into a gym and started boxing, and I was like, loved it so much, so I started too. So that's one thing.
That's awesome.
I thought like, I'm too old, you know, like.
No, you're not. My 70-year-old brother still plays ice hockey.
There you go.
Regularly.
You do it. So
And we
that's
have a
one thing.
boxing place in town, and you see all ages there. Scott and I did a live broadcast there, actually.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I think it's fantastic exercise. It's good for your mental health, in my opinion. I mean, everyone's a bit different. So that was one thing. The other thing is like I love music. I love playing music. I used to DJ before I came to America too. So I DJ too. So.
I think I figured mine out. Believe it or not. And Allie will make incessant fun of me.
10 hours of Star Trek.
What sort of? So I remember enjoying many years ago when I had no ties in life. You know, I'm a sci-fi guy. That's my thing. I love, Allie's going to watch a murder mystery. put me in front of Star Trek, Doctor Who, all those things. I love it. I think honestly, I would make it a point to go to some of the big cons, like, the San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I think just to see some stuff like that. I'm not the person that you're going to see walking around dressed as a Klingon. That's not going to happen.
Why not?
Yeah,
is that what you choose? If you had to pick one, it'd be a Klingon?
Well, no, I just in general, I'm using that as an example, but I think maybe a little. I have my aggressive moments, but I think that I think I'd do something like that. Maybe more so than the boat. Like I'd book myself for a year to go to. Maybe all the 10 hours have to be combined into, 40 hours total, where I'd be there.
Save them up.
Here's what I think. So I have a family member that used to do like theater makeup and stuff like that. I don't know if you have any interest in this. This is something that I would totally be interested in, is learning to do makeup like how they do on Star Trek and things like that. I think it'd actually be really cool. We used to go to, every year my family would go to Chicago for the Beatles conventions.
Yeah.
Band, not bug. And people would dress as different eras of the Beatles. And it was really cool. So I think now the Comic-Cons are cool. Like you said, I wouldn't dress like a Klingon. Why not? You see all the way people dress at these Comic-Cons. That might be your new thing, is to create the costume or to create the makeup. Because I love watching those tutorials of people putting the latex on their faces and creating that. So that would be something that you could do. And you could be like, Allie, come over so I can test it on your face.
It's a bonding thing. You guys could do it together.
There you go.
Exactly.
I mean, it's either that or Civil War reenactments, and I'll stay single for the rest of my life then. So. On that note, Dave, thank you for visiting with us.
Thank you for having
me. Really was great to have you. And he just proves corporate's not scary.
No.
And also hates to be called corporate, by the way.
I was just about to say, that's one thing we really dislike. It's corporate, and we're not.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we need a label for the, but you're just family,
I went to the corporate office last year. And
the bigger office.
I went to the bigger office.
It's really a smaller office than the office we're in, but that office.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was fun.
Good
I'm
energy.
not gonna lie, our studio is way nicer than yours.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just kidding.
All right, we'll see y'all next week. Have a good one. Safe travels, Dave.
Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate it.